hello everyone. My name is Thierry Pouy. I'm the founder of Air Journey, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar, where we're going to discover together our journey to Australia. Before we got started, I need to share with you a couple of important information. You're going to be watching this webinar on a listen-only mode. There's no two-way communication, but on the right side of your screen, if you're on a computer, you should be seeing a webinar control panel. And in that webinar control panel, you have a little box over there called chat, and you can add any question during the presentation. And at the end of the webinar, excuse me, I will be answering them over the voice. The second thing too important, at the end of the webinar, all of that will be recorded, and we'll be sending you a link so you can rewatch the webinar yourself with your friends on YouTube. And again, on these little things on the right side over there is one called Hands Out. And if you open that, you will be able to download the flyer that describes the day by day of this very exciting journey. So it's pretty exciting program. We are celebrating 25 years. And to tempt you a little bit on the webinar, I would like to share with you what we're going to be seeing on the journey with a little teaser made with a movie. So coming up on your screen, and I'll be right back after the movie is over. And I'm back with you with the presentation of the webinar. I'd like to basically correct one thing. On the right side, I mentioned the chat for the tab for the question. There's a tab called question, and that's where I want you to add the question that we'll be answering at the end of the webinar. So let's discover together that journey to Australia. I think the video was a pretty good teaser of the details and important destination you're going to be seeing along the way. So here, the description of the journey, as you can see, we're really going down under. Going to pass twice over the equator, and we're going to be visiting around Australia, going all the way to Tasmania, and along the way visiting some pretty unique places. The webinar is going to last about 30-35 minutes, so I won't be going into all of the stops. We just choose some of them to describe and give you an answer to your appetite. So the date of the journey is April 20th to June 26th. It's 66 days or 2 months. Unfortunately, you can't do 28,000 nautical miles without describing and flying all of these destinations. So 28,000 miles, we'll be visiting 5 continents, 17 countries, and within the countries, we have 23 destinations. So let's go over some of them along the way. Quebec City is where you usually start. We go to Greenland, we go to Iceland, all of that pretty short. Then Lake Como in Italy for 3 nights, Alexandria, Al Ula, which is the Petra, the description in Saudi Arabia. We go to Salalah, Oman. I'm going to go over the details on that. India, technical stop, and as you see, 1 night in Dhaka, Bangladesh. We go to Vietnam, we go to Brunei, we go to Broome, and then Hobart is in Tasmania, Sydney, the Great Barrier Reef. We have Bali, Kuala Lumpur, Pattaya, Goa, again in India, Muscat, Sharm el-Sheikh, Tunis, Luxembourg, Reykjavik, and then back home to Portland. So a little bit of air journey. Some of you listening have been on an air journey before. Some of you have not. The beauty of an air journey is that we take care of all the details. Most important, it's really a private journey. We don't take more than 6 airplanes for each one of our program because of many reasons, but 6 is the ideal number for the group dynamic, as well as for the authorization, the landing, the parking spot, etc. We're going to be staying at a number of exciting hotels along the way. It's going to be a fully guided experience. There is a journey director who is going to be on the program with you for the duration. We take care of all the flight planning, all of the authorization, fuel release, etc. along the way. We only use what we call ICAO airport. That means they are fenced and 24-hour security. So we're not going and park the plane on any street anywhere in the countryside. All the accommodation are highly curated. We're going to go over some of these description. We have private transfer on arrival at every one of the airports, so you're not leaving the group experience. You basically move on your pace when you secure the plane. Private tour, immersive activities, and breakfast daily, of course, but you have a la carte dining for every one of our experience. So let me give you 10 good reasons why you should join the journey. I'm going to go over some of the itinerary. Lake Como is going to be one of them, describing that beautiful part of the world in North Italy at the foot of the Alps. Airport we'll use will be Milano, and then we transfer for about an hour. Our home away from home will be the Mandara Oriental, which is a new happening on Lake Como. Was opened a couple of years ago. Beautiful old villa has been rearranged as now a very dedicated hotel right on the shore of Lake Como. We're going to have plenty of time to discover. We'll do a cruise on the lake, and since we're dealing with pilot, we might have a little surprise with the seaplane base there, and maybe a sightseeing flight, or even introduction to a seaplane flying. Second stop I'd like to highlight is Al Ula in Saudi Arabia. That's north of Jeddah. It's a little off the Red Sea, and Saudi Arabia is really opening to the world for tourism. And Al Ula is basically the answer to Jordan Petra, which we've all seen in the Indiana Jones movie on different places and so on. But Saudi Arabia has a lot to offer. We're also bringing the exclusivity and the lux of the world. The first hotel over there is the Banyan Tree with private pool and so on. You see some of the photos. And coming up in the month or years to come, you have an Amman hotel going to be opening there on some other chain. And as you can see, it's the same concept as Petra with this carving in the rock, but also a lot more open, and there's a lot to be seen. There's several ways along the way. I mentioned one on the beginning of the presentation, Salalah in Oman, that's south of Oman. And so we're staying away, of course, of unfortunately what's happening in the world today with all the unrest in the Middle East. We're staying far away. We're staying as far away as we can. And so that's why we're not going to any of the Gulf state next to the Oman Strait and so on. We're going south into the Oman place. Then on to Jaipur. Let's discover Jaipur together. That's known as the Pink City. We'll be staying at the beautiful Ramba Palace, and will be, which again, an old palace from the Maharaja from India turned into a hotel, and we'll take advantage to visit some of the exclusive place over there with the Hawa Mahal. We have the City Palace, Hamburg Fort, and all the history that India can bring to us with the two aspects of the ancient time and today's India. It's you know, the colossal Great Pyramid of Giza is similar to what you're going to be seeing at the Hawa Mahal over there. Then several stops along the way, we're going to Vietnam. We're going to be staying at Amman Resort there, right on the water. This is a place where we relax, recharge the battery, and we are ready to go for the destination. The Amman in Nha Trang, Vietnam is called Hanoi. It's a unique place, far away from everything, really the place to relax, enjoy, massage, yoga, whatever you want to do. There's no shopping in that part of the world, only relaxation, Zen environment, and so on. Then we'll enter Australia in Broome, and there's a stop before that in Indonesia in Tambolaka, beautiful resort there also called Ni. But let's concentrate on Australia. So the first place of entry is Broome, overnight there, clear custom and so on. And then we go to what's known today as Uluru, which most of you have learned as Ayers Rock, that big rock who came down the middle of Australia. We'll be staying at the hotel called Longitude 131. And I'm using the word hotel, but in reality, you're going to be staying in a tent, which is fixed to the ground with these beautiful panoramic windows overlooking the Ayers Rock from far away. There's nobody around. It's very quiet. It's a very unique experience because being in the middle of the country, middle of some kind of a desert, there's no light pollution. There's some fantastic light on the southern hemisphere. You have the Ayers Rock with not too far to enjoy sunset, the sunset and sunrise in that place. As you can see, they take advantage of everything the desert has open with your own pool. You also have a fireplace, relaxing and discovery of Uluru the next day. We've local guide over there will explain the formation of the rock, what has happened there. Not too much encounter with wildlife, but who knows? That might be the first place you might see a kangaroo. Then from there, we have a stop in Adelaide, which is known as the wine region of Australia. There's some pretty darn good wine there, and we'll take the time not only to visit winery, but we'll show you an experience where you can make your own wine. You have a white gown, you're going to have gloves, and you're going to have a whole bunch of little glasses, and you can mix all the different type of wine, type of grapes together and so on. And done that a couple of times, and the result is pretty attractive. It's not like a Grand Chateau from Bordeaux, but not that far, and you made it yourself. We'll go after Adelaide to Tasmania. And in Tasmania, we're going to be staying in a pretty unique place called Sapphire Freycinet, which is in the mountain, mountain view of the mountain next to a lake. Very unique accommodation. And again, we'll be visiting some of the surrounding place with helicopter sightseeing visit, winery, also as seeing all the animals, the farm, and so on. Unique place. You see the people here on the photo with coats and sweater and jacket. As we going to Australia during April and June, from April to June, we basically, it's in reverse season. So we'll be at the end of the summer and entering their fall. So we will see the change of the foliage on the tree, and some of the night and some of the time might need to be warmed up a little bit. So coats, jacket, turtleneck if you want. And then, of course, there is no trip to Australia without stopping in Sydney. Sydney, our home is going to be the Park Hyatt Hotel, which on the photo here you can see on the right of the Opera House. It's a unique setup because every room oversees the Opera House, and you can at night see it all lit up and so on. Very exciting place, and that's the image that all of us have from Sydney. The hotel itself is again very high-end. It's a Hyatt. There's different patio, terrace, pool, as you can see over here. So you can't miss the view of the Opera House, but you can also walk from this hotel alongside the harbor to go and visit the Opera House. Again, we'll be looking at the program for opera venue, and if indeed the time we're going to be there is a venue, we'll take advantage of that and enjoy the performance, the music, and the acoustic of this unique building. And while we are in Sydney, not only we'll see the Opera House, but we're going to see that part of the world. You have the bungee place there with the ocean pool, beautiful place where the Aussie go and enjoy the ocean, the surfing, and everything related to that. So it's a very young city, very young population. There's only 25 million inhabitants in Australia, a lot to discover. And the middle photo at the bottom, that's the famous bridge connecting two of the part of the city. The foremost building is again the Hyatt. And for the people who have a little feel of Daredevil, you can basically walk on top of the bridge to go from one side to the other. I'm not talking walking on the road. I'm talking walking on the structure. It's windy. You are roped in and you climb like you see the construction of the San Francisco Bridge. Only have a bridge in the world, but you're walking on top of the bridge. Unique experience. After Sydney, of course, there's no visit of Australia without a stop in the Great Barrier Reef. We're going to be going to the Hamilton Highland Resort. This is the kind of site you're going to be seeing from the air with a description of what the Barrier Reef is all about. The hotel is very unique, right facing the Barrier Reef, inside the reef, obviously, and we're going to be taking sightseeing by helicopter, by boat, relaxing at this beautiful property, which will leave memories for a lifetime. And excursion right and left. The bottom photo over here, see you part of the Barrier Reef, which is kind of a unique sight, especially from the air and from the helicopter, where it looks like you have a river going between this reef. And if you dive or if you snorkel, there's a lot of wildlife over there, particularly the turtle and so on. Very, very relaxing and unique place. Then it started to head back. So we're going to be spending a night in Darwin in order to break the journey. Then we go on through Bali, which we've been before. But I want to highlight the journey here with a stop in Kuala Lumpur. Our home over there will be the Madara Oriental Hotel, which is beautiful hotel, beautiful chain and so on. But the uniqueness of the one in Kuala Lumpur, it's located inside the Petronas Tower, which has these two big towers you see over here with the bridge connecting both of them. So very unique property right downtown, very enjoyable. And that will give us access to shopping you want to do, electronics and so on. Very unique, enjoyable destination. And of course, there's no visit until you go all the way to the top of the Petronas Tower. And as you can see in the middle photo over here, there is, again, for the people not afraid of height, the possibility of walking on that glass enclosure where you see the street at your feet and the sky around you. I'm not too keen personally with this kind of thing, but pretty unique experience. And of course, being in Malaysia, there's all the ancient tradition with the Buddhas, with these gold towers, gold sculpture, gold exposure. And the beauty is that they were able to mix the old and the new. So you have a very modern city as well as a one far less with the history of the ancient time. From Kuala Lumpur, we're going to go on to Sri Lanka. I'm not spending much time over there, except I want to point out that the stop in Sri Lanka is going to be on the south part of the island, and we'll be staying in some kind of a lodge like you have in Africa, which is bordering a game reserve, and where you can see a elephant, when you can see a whole bunch of wild animals. So it's kind of interesting to be in the lodge on the ocean with the wild animal behind you. Then there'll be a stop in Muscat, Doha, and then on to Egypt. We'll be staying in Sharm el Sheikh, and then back on Tunisia before going home through Luxembourg, which is a place we don't go and visit too often. It's a very unique experience. It's one of the oldest cities in Europe. It's a very tiny country by itself called Duché, and it's also a place that share the European Parliament with Brussels and Strasbourg and Luxembourg in the middle. So interesting place to visit. There's old history and there's recent history also to be there. A lot of things to visit, enjoyable, go back to the medieval time. Now let's go I hope I wake your appetite for what the journey is all about. So let's talk a little bit of what's going to happen with the journey itself and what we call the group dynamic. As I say, the journey is limited to a 6 airplane, and the airplane can carry more people. On the point of view of flying, we're going to go down later on, letting you the type of airplane useful, required, and so on. But overall, we like the idea of changing the group dynamic. So if you have any family members who want to join you for part of the journey, or friends, and so on, we make all of that happen and organize the meet place, the departure place. It's very easy, and the group change, and there's new people, new stories, and so on. So we really push the idea of having more people joining us on the journey. The pace of the journey is what we call activity level is moderate. There's going to be some city tour, obviously. There's going to be different cruises along the way. Every time we stay on a resort close to the ocean, we try to organize an excursion on the boat, far away from the crowd, relaxing and discovery. It's going to be some hiking excursion along the way. Ayers Rock, you've seen that. There's also, in Lake Como, the Alps are not that far away, and so on. Game drive, as I mentioned previously, especially in Sri Lanka. Temperature on a journey, we always love to put this little graph over here, so you get the name of the city at the bottom, and we got the name of the place on the top. I realize here that there's a couple of places that need to be corrected, but to give you an idea of what the place is all about, it's going to be varying between the upper 40s, 50s, all the way to the 90s with the destination in the Oman and so on. For the pilot among us, I'm not spend too much time talking about the pilots, but we do have an extensive flight briefing work. As I've said before, we organize everything for the pilot. The pilot is on vacation besides flying the plane. Passenger, wife, companion are also on vacation. So we try to make it as easy as we can. And during the pandemic, we took advantage to create our own application for the iPad and the iPhone, where the office would be pushing all of this information directly to your iPad, iPhone, for you to be able to use them. We're not using email anymore during the journey. Everything is going through the push notification. The iPad is a must, and the flight briefing, usually it's going to be reviewing what's going to happen the next day. We do that the evening before the flight. On the destination itself, what's going to happen at departure, en route, the arrival, the approach, what's going to happen on the ground. We pay very close attention to the weather along the way, studying the map satellite, looking at radar, studying the NOTAM, TAF, METAR, and so on. And I have to report to you that Air Journey and myself are a weather chicken. If the weather is bad, we're not going anywhere. We're just waiting, and the office in the background will do the organization of the stop, the hotel accommodation, and so on. So there's no pressure. Weather is bad, we're not going anywhere. I'd like to mention also that this webinar is a teaser for the journey, but over the years, when we have a long journey happening, these are the journey around the world, the journey to Indian Ocean, the journey to Africa, and the journey to Australia, we do what we call an informational meeting here in Palm Beach County. This one will take place in Palm Beach on November 29 to December 1st, where we do a very extensive presentation of the journey, where we go over what visas are required. We go over what inoculation are needed for the journey. We go over what's happening with the medicine, what's happening with the review of technical issues we can have with the plane, where we'll explain to you how to secure a second passport, etc., etc. So we already have people who've signed up for the journey going to be there. There's people on the fence who come to the journey, and we've run that journey in the past, part of the around the world, where we left from Anchorage, Alaska, all the way down Japan, and then the Philippines, entering through Cairns in Australia. So the people who've done that journey, the couple is going to be here, and you can ask them and share with them the experience of what was the journey Australia that we run at the time. It's time now for the question and answer. So let me see if there's any question over here. Yes, we have the question. That's always the one coming up on the journey. Survival equipment. Yes, we're going to be flying over water, not only the Atlantic both ways, but also on going through towards Australia and so on. So the equipment is going to be required, life vest obviously, but also life raft, and we do have them available for rent for the journey, and they also the equipment needed and required for crossing the Atlantic with a cover on the raft with a anchor and so on. Regard of the meals along the way, we had a request on the long journey before, and we've made a couple of change on this long journey where, yes, we'll organize dinner, different place, but we are now offering what we call dining a la carte. You know, a journey of 66 days is pretty long, and having dinner with the same people every evening, I'm sure it's enjoyable, but sometimes you want to get your privacy. So along the way, in some of the big cities where the option is available, we'll basically let you tell us ahead of time if there's any places that the two of you, if you and your family or friends, would like to go for dinner. We'll organize the dinner on your behalf, and you can enjoy the destination by yourself, and will bear the cost, of course, of that evening. Some people on the South America journey mentioned we have unique hotels, especially in the Atacama Desert, with fantastic accommodation. It's a beautiful place for stargazing, and we would have loved to have a room service. So that has been made available. Room service will take place if you want to stay and have a quiet dinner. We'll make that happen too. So nothing is impossible on this journey. We also are going to go more towards what we would call these days a well-being. Where you know, you go to these places. If you have a city tour on and on and on and on, and you're going to see one mosque, one cathedral, and so on, we're going to be offering out of the beaten path excursion. You know, cooking class maybe along the way. There's going to be some other type of exploration when we're in Ulara. Hopefully, we're going to be able to put together a quad dinner. Where we're going to be going on this quad in the desert and have some barbecue put together. When we go to Broome, there will be a sight-seeing sunrise tour on the beautiful sunset taking place over the beach on the back of camels. Fantastic photo op and beautiful opportunities. So we're going to more and more get away from the regular tourist, too crowded, and stay for exciting destination and what can be done over there. So, you know, if some of you have extra need or want, like, you know, any bicycle tour, horseback riding, let us know and we'll make it happen. There's a question about airplane also coming up. Yes, on the presentation we'll be doing in Palm Beach, we review the different place where the plane can be fixed if there's any issue, any AOG. We never leave any airplane behind, so we're in contact with all of these places, and if there's any issues to be done, we'll take care of that. If plane need to be washed along the way, we'll get a list of that taking place. If some of you want to have the airplane park overnight in a hangar, let us know. We'll get that taken care of also along the way. And if there's any scheduled maintenance along the way, let us know. We'll organize that ahead of time. Some of the plane need to carry a the premix for the fuel. These need to be carried with you. It's only in the US where you have premix taking place. The rest of the world knows. So if you need priest for your engine, let us know and we'll organize that. We don't want you to carry all the priest with you, so we'll make some places to ship it over or get it from there. There's a question about packing. That question always comes back. I love it. So soft luggage is basically the preferred way of traveling. As I mentioned before, on arrival, most of the place will have private transfers. You have the own car and driver for you to take you to the hotel. But sometime we're going to be limited with transfer by helicopter, and there's going to restriction in weight, so we'll let you know ahead of time. So make sure you do have soft luggage, easier on an helicopter to carry along. regarding of the fuel, going back to that, we do take care of the fuel release along the way. So if you don't have any fuel card, we'll go over the details with you prior to the journey. We'll organize the fuel release so you don't have to wait any time to pay for the fees. That will be happening. Nutshell, I don't see any more questions coming up. On the next slide over here, you're going to be seeing basically a big thank you for joining me on this presentation. You have a QR code. I'm going to leave it on the screen. You can take it with your phone, and that will take you to the website for more details. Always the possibility of downloading the flyer from there. The journey to Australia is one of the 4 long journey we're offering next year. This is a very unique one. It's 66 days, 28,000 nautical miles, and there's no leg longer than 780 miles. So most of the turboprop are able to do the journey with no issues. We've worked a number of technical stops along the way. They are not a must because some of the airplanes joining us have longer legs. They can go 15 or some of them 2,000 miles. So if there's no need for a stop, there's no need for the stop along the way. We'll make that happen. And on this particular journey, we will have a journey director, which has not been reserved at the time. So if any one of you listening join on the journey and we like to have a journey director flying with their airplane, let us know and we'll be happy to make that happen. Remember, this webinar has been recorded and I'll be sending you later on today or most likely tomorrow a link for the webinar to enjoy and relive what I've just shared with you. Thank you very much for attending, and we'll be seeing you very soon, I hope, on the journey. Thank you.